When the NCAA revealed the 2022 Division I men's lacrosse bracket, a whopping 6 Ivy League schools made the tournament. While some critics of the selection committee chalked this up to a bug in the RPI, those who watched the Ivies this season know that the conference experienced an improbable resurgence thanks in large part to an overachieving class of true freshmen, as well as a bunch of newcomers and virtual freshmen who barely saw any action the past 2 years. To fully appreciate the rise of the Ivies in 2022, you have to go back to the spring of 2020, when the COVID-19 pandemic shut down the sports world. At the time, you had guys like Michael Sowers tearing it up for Princeton, Jeff Teat torching defenses at Cornell, and T.D. Erlin dominating the faceoff dot for Yale. When most of college lacrosse returned in 2021, the Ivies sat out an additional season. Sowers transferred to Duke, Erlin left for Denver, and Teat went straight to the pros. The exodus of star talent continued in 2022, with guys like Penn's Sean Lully transferring to Duke and Cornell's Jonathan Donville transferring to Maryland. It felt like the rich were getting richer while the Ivy League would be stuck with the leftovers. But as Deemer Class explains, those leftovers turned out to be ripe with young talent.
I think that's what has been impressing me with freshmen across the board in the Ivy League. It's just the skill and the talent coming in at such a young age, being ready and fully grown men to be able to compete at a high level.
Let's start with Yale, as the Bulldogs were national championship contenders before the shutdown and now have a pair of freshman attackmen starting alongside one of the Ivy League's few established stars before the season in Matt Brandow. Their names are Leo Johnson and Chris Lyons, and they're closing in on 100 combined points heading into the NCAA tournament. Class believes it's Brandow's ability to quarterback Yale's offense that has opened the door for Johnson and Lyons to make such an instant impact.
It really seems like he's doing a great job stepping into that quarterback role where he knows that there's a balance between him taking it to the rack and there's a balance between him facilitating and letting the offense flow and trusting these young, talented playmakers for Yale.
Johnson and Lyons, as well as fellow first-year Brad Sharp, have helped Yale remain among the nation's elite programs under head coach Andy Shea. Then there's Harvard, who hadn't been to the NCAA tournament since 2014. The Crimson burst onto the scene this season thanks to a freshman class that has produced 4 of the team's top 7 scorers. Leading Harvard this year with 43 points is freshman attackman Sam King.
This goal, in my opinion, really speaks to his awareness and his confidence with the ball on his stick. He just gets a step underneath. With the teams both still subbing, there's really no one home to help and slide. So having the confidence and the poise to protect the stick, finish in front across the goal to improve his angle, I think is a huge goal for a freshman in a big-time Ivy matchup.
The crowning point for the true freshman class in this conference came on April 30th, when Yale and Harvard met in the regular season finale. If you tuned into this matchup, you'd never know the field was littered with so many inexperienced players just by watching the back and forth battle. King helped get the party started for the Crimson with this first quarter goal.
This is a great up the hash goal by Sam King. I think Graham Blake does a phenomenal job popping off the crease to set a nice goal line pick. Just gets enough of a piece of Chris Fake to get King's hands free coming up the field. King does a great job of throwing that top hand forward too to be able to improve his angle and get it out quick without someone in his gloves.
King and his fellow Harvard freshmen, Miles Botkiss, Owen Gaffney, and Andrew Perry, combined for 11 points in this game, including 4 unassisted goals. But the freshmen in Yale's machine-like offense were firing on all cylinders that day, including this play late in the third quarter where Sharp found Lyons for a nifty feed and finish.
Sharp does a great job here, splitting to his left on a short stick, reads the hedging defenders, and Lyons does a great job of really starting to drop to the pipe and drop to space. The skill on display here to catch this righty, twister it back around the goalie really reminds me a lot of a past 44 for Yale, Matt Gaudette.
Later in the game, with Yale trailing by 1 goal, Johnson came through with the unassisted tally to send this clash into overtime.
I really love the pass down, pick down action in this wing dodge. It's such a perfectly placed pick that Harvard has to switch pole to shorty. And the amount of power that Johnson gets on this shot coming up the field and then sticking it on the pipe, I really think is nothing short of incredible here.
The battle came to a thrilling finish when Yale sent Harvard packing with this goal in overtime. But these weren't the only Ivy League teams with standout true freshmen. Princeton climbed into the top 5 this season, and the Tigers couldn't have done it without the help of freshman attackman Coulter Makkasey. On a Friday night in early March, Makkasey had a 6-point coming out party against Rutgers, highlighted by a goal that lit Lac's Twitter on fire.
I think having the poise and the confidence to continue working a short stick matchup, split, roll back, set his feet, extend his hands around the defender, and truly stick the corner. It's really impressive footwork. This is the guy that's going to be a primetime player on the national stage as Princeton continues to rise.
The conference also has a bunch of players who are listed as sophomores, but they're virtually freshmen since they didn't play at all last season. One of those guys is Brown's Conor Thoreau, aka the People's Goalie. Another is Cornell Cj Kurst, who was named Ivy League Rookie of the Year for plays like this one.
Great job attacking off the approach to just be able to roll back and really snap his hands right off the short stick for a high bouncer was an incredible shot. I think these are the kind of plays where if you're an Ivy League lacrosse fan, there's a lot to look forward to in years to come out of these young stars.
Even juniors in the Ivy League feel a little bit like freshmen. Penn's James Shipley, for example, only had 5 games of experience coming into the season, and now he's as clutch as they come, with multiple game-tying and game-winning goals for the team known as the Cardiac Quakers.
He's really just bursting on the scene, and I think one of the reasons for that is his athleticism and ability to get his hands free really causes a lot of problems for the defense. He's a party starting type of midfielder, and it shows when slides don't come and he's able to stick a big shot. I think that really speaks to the clutch gene that he's developing.
Thanks to these young playmakers, the Ivy League is not only back, it's thriving. The future is bright for this surging conference, so much so that sending 6 teams to the NCAA tournament could soon become the norm as opposed to an anomaly. For the rest of the college lacrosse landscape, that's a scary thought to consider.